We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
I'm growing marijuana in my yard. Growing marijuana in my yard. I got little pots of pine spread out all over the lot, 'cause I'm growing marijuana in my yard.
We've reset the timer so that it's for a 12 and 12 photo period. As you can see, it's everything's flowing really good right now. Plants are gradually, they're pretty much adjusted to their new home. So this is based on starting the lights at 8 o'clock and shutting them off at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. So the first flood's at 8:15 to 8:30. Second flood's 11:45 till noon. So they're 15-minute floods. We decided to go with 4 15-minute floods. 2:46 in the afternoon to 2:31. It's another 15-minute, and then 5:45 till 6 o'clock. So that's the 4 floods, and then of course at 8 o'clock it's lights off. So the pump's all set. This is the 2:16 to 2:31 flood. You see all the drippers are working fine. All the plants are kicking in just nicely. Now it's time to move on and set the timers on the lights to the 12 and 12. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. coming right up. So timer number 1 is set. You've got your 8 and your 8 photo period, and setting the time to at the time right now, which is about just between 2:15 and 2:30. So this is all set to go. Lights on at 8 a.m., lights off at 8 p.m. Next light. Okay, so this is the 120 volt timer. The last one was a 240. So the first thing I'm going to do is set it to the appropriate time, which is just about between 2:15 and 2:30 p.m. So the dark color is p.m. times. And you see we're at 2, and that's about 2:30. You can see the little arrow there. So that's about 2:30 right there. I think that's a good one. So now we're going to put in the on-off triggers. So here's the one for 8 p.m. and here's the one for 8 a.m. So now we got it set, 12 and 12. We always use sticky sticks to monitor for any kind of insects, flying insects anyway. And you can see that we've actually detected a single fungus gnat here. So we'll keep an eye on things right now. You know, one fungus gnat is not too big of a deal because obviously the adult's caught on the flypaper, so it's not going to go lay eggs. But we will continue to monitor. You see we've got them set up around the table. Anything comes around, we'll catch it. Moving into week 3. So here's week 3. You see we're using pretty much the same amounts. Things have changed a little bit. We've gone up a little bit on the bloom. The micro and the grow have stayed the same. And it looks like we're not going to be using any Vitamax this time around, but we will still be using bud fuel. We're changing the res. And some of the other things we're looking out for is you'll notice that in the drain here, we're starting to get a little algae buildup in there. So I'm just going to take a little, I'm going to clean that out and clean the water out. But before I do, I'm just going to take a little bit of hydrogen peroxide and I'm just going to pour it into the little reservoir. And what that's going to do is it's going to kill, you can already see it's already killing that algae, making it clump up. And you can actually see it kind of bubbling and rippling. When you see that bubbling action, that's the hydrogen peroxide reacting to organic matter and basically killing all that algae and any microbial growth that might be in there. Okay, so the hydrogen peroxide is finished doing its job. We use the turkey baster to get any residual water out of places that are hard to otherwise drain. So you see the turkey baster just sucks everything up, and then I put it into the wastewater bucket. So now I'm going to get in there with a paper towel, and I'm just going to give it a good wipe out. And you can see there's the algae. So next I'm going to wipe out the res. It's important to do this to get any residual nasty stuff that might be in the res. We're going to clean off the air stones. We're going to wipe down the pump.
we're going to make sure everything's nice and clean and ready for the new reservoir. Okay, reservoir is all clean, wiped out, and ready to go. Okay, so while Deb finishes up putting nutrients into the res, let's just have a look at where the plants are. So you can see there's a big difference in some of the plants. They're kicking in pretty nice. I mean, this one is just going gangbusters. Look at the way that's growing. So we've got some nice growth. We've got some others that are lagging behind, but you can tell by the new growth that they're actually kicking in. So I expect we're going to get some good flowers from this. It'll be a couple of weeks before we really see any flower development, but we'll keep reporting until it comes. March 10th, time for another res change. That are incoming, ready to go, and of course the pump is pumping all that dirty water out of there. So let's have a quick look at the plants. Deb went through and picked off some leaves today. You can see we're starting to kick in pretty good here. This plant here is just a monster. I mean, geez, look at that thing. And yes, they're starting to flower. Check it out. Look at that. So already starting to get some flowers developing, which is cool. Turkey baster is a great tool to get that last little bit of residual water out of there. Nothing works better. So Deb is measuring out the nutrients. A little bit at a time. In go the nutrients into the new res. Nice clean incoming water coming through the boogie filter. So that's it for March 10th. Week 3 taken care of. And on to week 4. So one of the things going in is this Vitamax Pro. You're going to find if you use the GrowTech line, that Vitamax is going to make your water just a little bit mucky, which means it's going to cause a little more cleanup on the other end, but I'm sure it's worth every drop. Put it in. So off goes the water. And we just shut the shut-off valve off on the boogie filter, so it keeps some water inside here. It keeps it hydrated. If it dries out, sometimes it can affect the longevity of your boogie filter. Nutrients in, final step, pH. You can see we're at, looks like 5.9 right now. We got to get that down to 5.7, is that right, Deb?
5.6.
5.6. 5.6. Another eyedropper full of phosphoric acid. 85% when you're doing this amount of water. Get the 85. You know, if you're just doing little 20-liter buckets or something, 20% is fine. Let's take another reading. Down to 5.8. Wow.
Yay.
Still got to put a little more phosphoric acid. There we go. This seems to be copious amounts of phosphoric acid. I'm expecting this to go down to 5.6 now. Okay, so let's see where we're at now. There you go. 5.6. Perfect. One of the lights just went out just in time. We have these lights set from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That way we can get home from work, still have a little bit of time to do stuff. And we even have a little bit of time in the morning if we wanted to have to do something in the morning before we leave. So that works good for us. Always nice to do a little cleanup after you're done. You know how I am about housekeeping. March 17th, and it's res change time, so we're pumping out all the old water and we're going to get in the new. Let's have a look at the chart. So, week 6 is done, going into week 7. So week 7, these are the ratios of all the different nutrients. And of course we're using Monster Bloom and Heavy Bud now. While Deb gets the res ready for its new water, let's just have a look at what's going on with the plants. So you see we're getting some nice bud development here. Plants are cooking pretty good. So taking a little closer look at the plants, you can see we've got some things going on here on the leaves. So what it looks like we have going on here is the beginnings of a calcium deficiency. So that's usually what a calcium deficiency looks like. It starts around the edges and it can start to turn a little bit brown, and that's brown is called necrosis. But beyond that, I think we also have what appears to be some phosphorus. You see it's on the edges and it kind of is similar to the calcium but not the same. You'll see it's got this kind of a purplish color to it, and that's typical of a phosphorus deficiency. And then when I go up here, I can show you one leaf right here that has both. See that it's got calcium and phosphorus deficiencies both. So the feeding program for the GrowTech does call for some CalMax. So we're going to be adding some CalMax, and that's going to supplement the calcium and magnesium, etc. But it's also what we're probably going to do is maybe take a cube pH. This is where we actually stick a tube down into the Rockwell cube, and with a syringe, and suck water right out of the cube, and then test that pH, and that will tell us what the pH is in the cube, and that's important too. So all the ingredients are in. Heavy Bud, Monster Bloom, Bud Fuel, Vitamax. Yes, Vitamax. Makes it dirty. Micro, Bloom, Grow, and that's all the weeks. So Deb has also added a little bit of CalMax to just try to correct those nutrient deficiencies that I saw you. Getting the pH down to where it should be.
5.85 is what it calls for.
So it's March 18th now. You can see that we're going through a flood right now. I'm going to do an essential thing right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the pH actually in the cube, so that we know how the pH in the cube is. It's very important, and I'm going to do it while it's flooding, because otherwise I won't be able to get enough water out of the cube. So let's get it in there. Let's suck up some water. We'll probably have to take several draws just to make sure that we get enough. And then there you can see the water coming in. And I'll just kind of put it back down a bit and put it back in again. Get another draw. And see we're getting enough to test now. So I'm gonna now take the water that I've drawn out of the cubes, and I'm putting it into this cup. And it doesn't have to be a lot, it just has to be enough to cover the probe on the pH pen. So let's have a look and see what it is. And well, it's looking like 6.2. So 6.2 might be just a little bit high. I think 6.1 or 6.0 is what it should be. So I'll check with Deb when she gets home from work, and if we have to do any adjusting, we'll do it. It's also always good to check the pH in the res the day after you add nutrients, because nutrients can actually buffer the water, bring the pH down a little bit. It's called nutrient buffering. It's only temporary. So let's just have a look and see where the pH in the res is, and see if we need to adjust that down. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, but it's reading 6.1, and that is really quite a bit higher than it should be. So the nutrient buffering's gone. I'm going to add some more phosphoric acid, bring it down to about 5.7, 5.6, or I think they say 5.5, but we'll go for 5.6 or 5.7. It's Wednesday, March 24th, and Wednesday is res change day, so here we go again. Week 7. Now that's not week 7 of flower, that's week 7 including the vegetative part. So now going into week 8, which is really like week 6, so that'd be 7 and 8 of flower. So week 8, still getting the full dose of everything basically. And right now Deb's taking the water out of the res, so we're draining the res and getting ready to refill. Okay, I stand corrected. We are in week 8, but everything is equal except the Monster Bloom. Monster Bloom is now being cut in half. We were at 9.5, now we're at 4.7 grams. So Deb's just using the bilge pump to get the last bit of water out. Let's just take this opportunity to have a look at the plants. Wow. Getting a lot of good development here. The buds are coming along fine. Look at this. Nice, huh? Some of these plants are just huge. It's just gangbuster size. Like the ones in the middle here. You can see they did get a little bit close to that. I was worried they would get a little bit close to the light. I kind of proposed that we topped them off. But we kind of agreed we'd go ahead and let them go. Even though they're getting to a little bit warm up here, you can see they're showing a little bit of heat stress up on the top. So just to show you what happens when plants get too close to the light, you can see that's actually burning the top of this plant. So what Deb and I have decided to do is we're just going to take a clip and put it down on the edge of the tray, and we're just going to put a string on them just to kind of pull them over a little bit and get them away from the light so that they don't get this burning on the top. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I've taken a little clip, it's just a little paper clip thing, and I'm just going to come down here to the edge, and I'm going to clip it onto the edge. I'm going to bring, and this is a piece of emitter tubing, which is really gentle on the plant. So I'm just going to kind of loop it around the stem on the plant, right? And then we're going to just pull it a little bit, and you see what it's doing? It's pulling that top away from the light, and that's going to save it from getting burned. Okay, so that one is tied off. You see I just made a real loose loop around it, just enough to angle it away from the light. Now I'm going to go do the other one. Deb is carefully measuring out all the 3-part nutrients from the Grow Tech line. Monster Bloom has been infused into that little cup of water. Now you see when you pour it in, look, it's got that kind of a purplish color to it, and that's basically the Monster Bloom already dissolved into that water. Now it's going to infuse into the reservoir much easier. There goes the CalMax. So water levels are to the top. We've turned the water off. Always keep an eye on your water level. You don't want an overflow, that's for sure. So Deb's going to give it a stir, and after she gets some of the nutrients stirred in, they're going to buffer the water a little bit as far as the pH goes. But we're going to add some 85% phosphoric acid to bring it down to the sweet spot. So first we're going to see where the pH is now before we actually add any phosphoric acid. And looking like 6.4? Deb, is that what it's at?
Yep, that's 6.4.
So 6.4, that means that it started out at about 7.6. The nutrient brought it down to 6.4, but we got to get it down to about 5.7. So Deb's just putting some phosphoric acid in right now. Now I did mention that there was nutrient buffering that brought the pH down. Deb also added some of the pro-silicate, which is called for. Now that's a potassium silicate-based product that actually brings the pH back up. So that 6.4 included the nutrient buffering plus the raising of the pH by the pro-silicate. Okay, Deb is going to check the pH again to see what we brought it down to. It appears to be, what is that, 6.0?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 6.0, so we got a little further to go. You'll notice it's taking quite a bit of phosphoric acid to bring the pH down. Not sure if it's the nature of the nutrient line we're using, but sometimes, like when I used Emerald Harvest in the what was it, 2019 grow, I really had to use a lot of pH down to get it down. And some nutrients are just like that; they're resistant to buffering. Okay, let's see where the pH is at now. Okay, so 5.6.
Go to 5.5.
Oh, 5.6 sounds like a happy number to me. So while Deb is reeling up the hose, getting that all wound up, I'm going to go ahead and pull this other top away from the light because it's just too darn close. So again, I'm taking a clip, clipping it on the edge. Got my emitter tubing. Going to bring it up. I'll wrap it down around, we'll say around this level on the plant here. Make a little loop around, and then just give it a little tug, and you see what it's doing now. It's pulling it, the top, away from that light. So I'll just tie that off, and away we go. Okay, so there you go. Burnt top, now away from the light. No more burning. All these other buds will grow up nice and fine. Look at this. Look at them though. The flower development is actually quite impressive. Let's take a little close up here and see where we're looking for trichomes and stuff. Yeah, I'd say that we're getting some good trichome development too. So very nice. I think this is a excellent way to grow. When you look at the size of some of these plants, I mean, the potential for this type of system is really huge. I think we're going to get a great harvest. Before we go, I just want to mention the atmospheric conditions. You can see we're at 75.2 degrees, 48% humidity. That's almost perfect. it's taken a while for these plants to transpire enough to actually get the humidity up to close to 50%, because it's actually been quite low in the 30s. So it's good to see it up near 50, and at 75, that's perfect atmospheric conditions.
The management and staff at BMA Hydroponics thank all the loyal customers for their support and understanding over the last few months. BMA Hydroponics remain committed to providing you with everything you need to succeed. They offer discounts for medical growers, healthcare workers, first responders, military, and veteran growers. Now with 2 locations, 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville or at 105 Sutherland Drive in Kingston. Check out products and locations online, bmahydroponics.com. The only way to grow.
You know how I'm always talking about good housekeeping. Deb's done a great job of cleaning up the working surface. Always keep things clean. March 25th, day after res change. We're just having a little flood right now. Just checking on everything. You know, just every once in a while you just go around, check, make sure everything's flowing good. Looks like we're doing fine. You can see there's a little bit of algae on the top of the grow cubes. That's natural. It's because of the light and the nutrients, and they kind of react and make a little bit of green stuff on there. As long as it doesn't get too thick, it's all right. If it gets too thick, it could get toxic for the plants. But as you can see, there's nothing toxic going on with these plants right now. Welcome to Tyndonega. Wednesday, March 31st. It's that time again, res change time, and week 8 is done, and now we're going into week 9. And again, these weeks include the first couple of weeks of veg. So this is really, we're moving into, I guess, week 7 of flower, which means this would be our last time that we're going to give them food. And then starting next week, we're going to start the final flush. Before we start emptying the res and doing that, let's just have a look at the plants and see where they are right now. You may notice there's been quite a change since the last time we took any footage. You remember I had to put this little loop on here and pull these buds back away from the light. But now what you can see is they've gone all loose, and that's because the buds are getting so heavy. The plants are getting so heavy, they're getting so sticky and smelly too, that I think what we're going to end up having to do is find some way to support these plants. It's April 7th, and we are finished with the second last week, so now we're going into the final flush week, which means it's clearing time. So let's have a look at the plants. Wow. You can see they're getting mighty, mighty big buds. Overall, things are looking really nice. We can just zoom out a little bit here and show you the larger picture. We got some really nice buds. Lots of them. So Deb's just wiping everything down. Cleanliness is necessary. We really have to do a nice job on cleaning up. Really important in water systems. So Deb has done all of her res changing for today, and flushing and clearing solution and whatnot that she's had to deal with. I'm just here to look at the buds. I think Deb tried to have a look. We both tried to have a look with this little doodad that I got here. It's actually an electron microscope, so we're going to get to see really exactly where these trichomes are. So unfortunately, to do this, what I have to do is I have to find a bud that's kind of in the mid-level of the plant, that's kind of going to be representative of the new growth and the old growth. And I'm going to have to snip it off so that I can look at it under the microscope. So let's take this one here, and we'll just cut that one off, and we'll look at it. Okay, so we got the unit set up. Let's just get you focused in here. Look at that. Where we just kind of focus that in a little, and just bring it into good focus. And look at that. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see there's lots of cloudy trichomes. Not seeing amber, but hey, here's another trick. Okay, I'm zoomed in on that bud with this microscope, but guess what? I got zoom on my phone too. So let's check that out. Wow. Wow. Yes, sir, they're cloudy. Okay, let's take you on a little trip through the trichome land. as you see different levels come into view, which you'll also notice is over here. See, we got some amber. So that's a good sign that they're just about done. Let's take a real close look. No doubt. About 3 or 4 days left. So tomorrow we start trimming. So I've taken a bud, kind of a mid-level bud that's kind of representative, not too high on the plant, not too low on the plant, kind of a middle-aged flower. So let's just have a look at what it looks like under the magnifier. And we're just going to zoom it out a little bit so we can see it all. And you can already see there's amber there. You can see amber, 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 lots of amber. Let's, yeah, there's lots of amber up in the top there too. So I've turned the bud over and I'm just going to see if I can focus in on this part of the bud. Just a little closer to the tip of the bud. There we go. There we go. So yeah, there's more amber. Yeah, over here. Amber, amber. Yeah, so I'm feeling like there's enough amber there to say it's time. Predominantly cloudy, the odd clear one, definitely more amber than clear though. Well, it's April 15th. I'm putting in my turn here on trimming. Yes, we are trimming. We're seriously trimming. I don't even think I've probably done maybe 25%. I've spent a couple of hours trimming. So let's just have a look at what we're doing here. I got my little handy dandy rack, hanging rack, and I just hung up some of the nicer ones here for you to have a little look at up close. You can see there's some pretty Jim Dandy buds right here. Nice big fat ones. Steve always says this is an easy to trim strain, and it is fairly easy to trim. Not a lot of leaves. Very pretty though. I'm really liking the look of it. I'm liking the weight. These are very heavy. And I think we're going to get a good yield. April 19th, and you know what that means. Yeah, 1 day to 420. No, we've finished harvesting. We've left a little bit on there that we'll kind of deal with later when we clean up. But here's what we got. Check it out. Lots and lots of buds. And some very, very nice ones too. Just take a look at this one here. I mean, that is Jim Dandy bud there, and there's quite a few like that. Here's a nice one. Let's take a closer look. Very nice, huh? Isn't that pretty? So it's April 28th, and I just pulled up in my driveway. I can't explain this, but just take a look at this. Yeah. 3 cannabis seedlings just pop out of nowhere. I have no idea how they got there. They've been there for actually quite a while. They went through all the snow and the cold weather that we had, and there they are, still alive. Look at that. 3 of them. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's in the neighborhood. Well, we're all finished trimming, drying, curing. We now have everything in bags, and you can see we got pretty good yield here, but you know, the tail is on the scale. So we're going to just weigh each one of these bags up and find out what our total is. Okay, so first bag. We're talking 178.7, but we got to take off 14 grams for the bag. So Deb's going to write these down, and we're going to do the math later. So 178.7 in that bag. $187.9 on that one. $184.4. Wait, let me see, is that what that is? Yes, 184.4. $177.1. And finally, the smaller bag. There's a reason why it's a smaller bag. It's got some nicer buds in it. So we're going to look at those in a minute. And that one is 89.5 grams. So Deb's going to take 14 grams off of each one of those measures, and then we're going to tally up what the total is. Let's take a look at some of these nicer buds. You can see there's just some beauties in here. Really genuinely pretty buds. You can't buy flower like this online or from a dispensary or from an LP. They just don't make them like this, and if they did, they certainly wouldn't sell them to you. So when you grow your own, you get to keep all the really nice ones. And let's just have a little closer look at some of this. The closer you look, the prettier it gets. Let's see if there's any, we can see those trichomes in there. Yeah. That is some really pretty bud. And we're not finished yet. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be taking some samples of this into the store today, and I'm going to test them on the Purple Pro. We're going to see how much THC, CBD, and all that stuff is in there. Stay tuned. Okay, so I just got the report from Deb. 747.6 grams, and that's less the weight of the bags. So if we divide that by 454, what does that come out to in pounds and ounces?
1.646.
1.646 pounds. That's a pretty good yield. And if we divide that by 9 plants, okay, so we've come up with a tally. Average per plant is 83 grams. That's basically 3 ounces per plant. That's a darn good total. Very respectable. I think this system is great, and you should try it out. Again, stay tuned for the THC measures and terpene levels. Okay, so here I am at work, and yeah, I've got my mask on. I'm in the office, so I'm going to take that off. There, maybe you can hear me better now. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking at this bud under my little electron microscope, and you can see we get a very nice close-up look at this flower. And if you kind of zoom in a little bit, you can see over here, you can see there's amber. There's a little bit of amber here, a little bit of amber there. So that's what I look for, is a little bit of amber. So, and the rest, you can see these ones are pretty cloudy. Where's my finger? There it is. So you see we're cloudy over here. So cloudy, a little bit of amber, and that's just the perfect time to pick. And of course, this one is a nice bud. It's from the top. I'm going to now test this. I'm also brought in a little lower bud, so I can test it and see if there's any difference between upper buds and lower buds. Just curious, but anyway, there you go. So here we are with the Purple Pro tester. It's all charged up. You know, quite often I get customers will come in and they'll bring in a little sample of their fresh bud, and they'll say, hey, can you look at this for me and tell me what you think and how close it is to, is it ready to harvest? And of course I always, look for the trichomes, and I look for amber trichomes, and then of course I will try it under the electron microscope, and you can see amber trichomes very nicely with that. So, if you have a bud and you want to check it out just to see if it's really ready, bring a piece in and I'll have a look at it for you. Okay, so I've calibrated the Purple Pro. I'm just going to put this little support on the top, and what we have here is a grinder, Teflon coated, really cool. It never gums up. If your grinder gums up, try to find one that's got Teflon on it. It never gums up. So we're just going to take a little piece of bud, we're going to grind it up and put it into this little hopper. So all you need, if you want me to do a test for you, is just a little piece of bud about the size of the end of your finger, and I'm just going to put this top on. I'm going to grind it up, and it's going to go down into the hopper. So I've got that bud ground up. It's down in the hopper. This is called a tamper, and I'm just going to tamp it down a bit. And we're going to set it to test now. So I'm going to take one of these smaller buds that came off lower down on the plant, because I just want to see if there's a difference in THC between the buds that come off the top of the plant and the ones that come off of the bottom of the plant and lower down, and see if there's a difference, just out of curiosity. So there's the piece of the lower bud. Let's grind her up, see what happens. So the hopper is filled. Going to tamp it down, and away we go. So the results are in. You can see I've done a lot of tests. I've repeated the test over and over. And it appears there is no difference between upper buds and lower buds. So here come the results. So the last test we're going to do is the terpene test. And so for the terpene test, we're going to use the MyDX unit, which is a molecular sniffer. It's got the app, we got the tester, we got the cartridge. So I'm just going to take this little piece of bud, I'm going to grind it up on the edge in there and fill that little reservoir. Okay, the little reservoir is full. Next we just take and snap down. There we go, snapped in place. Drop it into the little cartridge holder. Make sure that's in. Knock it in there. And we're ready to go. We pushed the little button there and you see it says quick test. So we're going to do a quick test. So it's now looking for the unit. And there it's found it. Okay, so it has connected to the unit and we're ready to go. Let's click next and start. And now you can hear, see the light has turned blue, and you can actually hear the sound of the air sucking through the unit. So it's pulling in air across the cartridge through the unit past the sensor, and it's now going to give us a terpene profile just in a couple of minutes. So it keeps on working round and round and round. It gives you a little countdown to see how much longer it's going to take. So we're just about finished the countdown. You can see it counting down up here. And it is analyzing the sample. And there's our result. So you see it's giving me a THC rating at 20.66%. It's, this thing is like a plus minus 10%. The Purple Pro is plus minus 1%. So, I guess it is within the 10% of the Purple Pro, but the Purple Pro, told us it's 24%, which is probably more accurate. But what we're most interested in here is this. So these are good results because it is a molecular sniffer. The terpene results, which is what we're looking at here, these are the terpenes. You can see it gives different percentages for all, beta-carotene, alpha-pinene, beta-pinene, myrcene, limonene, all these xanthine. These are all good numbers. So geranol, look at that, 2.71. Linalool, 0. Terpinolene. That's the one that gives it that diesely kind of smell. Eucalyptol, humulene, that's another major terpene. So you see, we got all our terpenes there. I'll now put this together with the Purple Pro THC results and produce a printout that gives all these terpene results and all the THC and CBD results together. And by the way, you can get that done at BMA Hydroponics. It's $25 for a test for the THC and CBD. Sorry, $20 for a test for THC and CBD on the Purple Pro. $25 if you want the terpene profile. Do them both together, and it's $50. It saves you a few bucks, but for $50, you get the THC, CBD, and terpene profile all in a printout. So I've got the printout here up on the screen. I'm going to print it out, but I just thought I'd show it to you on screen. This is what you would get from us if you do both tests, the THC, CBD, and the terpene test. You would get this printout. So you can see that we've got the 24% THC, the less than 2% CBD. The DX showed it as 0.08%, which is certainly less than 2%. But here's the important thing that the DX does for you, and that's these terpenes. So you can see there's the whole list of terpenes. I believe there's about 20 different terpenes that it shows, and you can see it gives you the readings for all of those. And terpenes are important in the way you feel that 24%. So depending on your terpene profile, at 24%, maybe it feels like 20 and maybe it feels like 26 or something like that, because some are enhancers, some are inhibitors, and depending on your combination, that affects how you feel that 24%.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our Hydroponics Superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Once again, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Check them out.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.